Welcome, 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 everyone, to peopleforpeople.ning.com. My name is Raven, and I am your hostess, and this is my show called Rantings of a Blackbird, Decoding the Nature of Reality from the Outside In. So there's about, 70%, if not more, of reality inside the unseen within this particular realm. And that's what we're going to be getting into. So in order to do this successfully, it really requires us to step out of the mind control programs as we eliminate the world within us bit by bit. That's how we start to get free. We start to unshackle. And sadly and unfortunately, inside the very controlled truthing community, that's not what we're doing. We're just taking in more and more and more. We're adding it in. We're adding in all of this other information without really releasing all of the old and the baggage that we've been carrying. We're unshackling some of the mind control programs, but what we have to do is we have to just start eliminating and emptying ourselves out. Now, the world that was created was absorbed within our souls and the minds that feed us all of this inaccurate information, based on our perception of the illusory world, and listening also to others' words who do not speak nor know the truth of this realm in its infinite layers. And there's no way that any one of us could ever know the truth of any part of this realm in its infinite layers. But what we can do is we can benefit from listening to those of us that have integrity and honor and are really working hard to wake ourselves up and enjoying inviting others to join our ride, our journey on our path, and take a little bit of what we have to offer. And I thank you for doing that. Okay, let's put up the first slide, please. So, actually, you know what? I forgot to tell you. Look at that image, you guys. Isn't that wonderful? I made that for for the show, but I forgot to have it put up. So look at it, enjoy it, smile, and now let's move to the next one, please. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. And let's have some fun doing this, because this is going to be big. This is going to be a lot of knowledge, but we can have fun learning this stuff. So this evening's show is called Earth, the toroidal field of the Elohim. And as you can see on the image, Earth is spelled E.A.R small t small h. And that's very important. So Earth, the toroidal field of the Elohim, essentially a Luciferian toilet bowl. All right. So we think of the word Earth as a title for the realm or planet, whatever you want to call it, that we live within. But the word Earth is not just a title, it's actually an acronym. And this is very unknown. They don't want us to know this because they want us to perceive everything as organic and holistic, and that nature is in rhythm with us, and the whole presentation of the realm being somewhat of an overlay of the truth. And they don't want you and I to know the truth about where we're at. So Earth, spelled E-A-R-T-H, is actually spelled, again, E.A.R-T-H. Why? Why is this? Because this ball of yarn is named for what the Elites truly and with great fervor worship, and that's electrical power. It really is electrical power. It's electrostatics and it's electromagnetics. So when we understand that they worship that it's their great beloved. Actually, it's considered the grand architect Okay, so in Masonry, we know that we perceive the Freemasons and their perception of whatever it is that is the architect. Well, we have to understand that electrostatics is the grand architect. And then, of course, there's something else within that. But electrostatic energy actually is their God. Okay, it really is their God. And I'm going to show you how that works out to be for them. So, God, it means the grantor of dominion. Next image, please. Slide. And if you look at this image that's coming in, you could take a look at it. So, God is just a word for grantor of dominion. G is the grantor, O is the of, and D is dominion. I know some people will say it's gold, it's oil, it's diamonds. And yes, of course, they worship that because they placed a value on it and they made us believe that there was a value to it, although there's really no value to it, other than what you believe in, right? Again, it's beliefs. But for them, it's much deeper, and it's grantor of dominion. And that started with the Caesars long, long time ago, stating that they grant us dominion here. Okay. And that the true omnipotent existential God, the one that is beyond the beyond, is what I call it, it grants existence, grants our existence of soul and spirit. However, it is through the relationship with the world and those that run the world that grants us dominion. Now, God, G-O-D, originally was known as GAD, G-A-D, and that's going to be important later on. But we have to understand that that was the original word before God. So this God, Gad, interfaces with the Vatican, as the Vatican, the Pope, and his cardinals are employed as the intermediary between us, the mere human slave, right, and the all powerful God that is, without a doubt, an electrostatic machine. And for those of you that believe in God and use that word to interpret your spiritual relationship with that very omnipotent, beloved power or essence, I'm going to ask you to step back for a moment and recognize that I'm not talking about that essence whatsoever. I'm talking about what runs this realm. So please don't get and feel antagonized by me or even start moving into judgment space. Remember, keeping an open mind, because what is worshiped here is not necessarily what humanity worships, honors, or acknowledges, but what the oppressors, those that run this realm, what they worship. And so they worship what their God is the electrostatic machine. And the machine runs and is truly the AI God cloud and the entire synthetic system that holds the currency of this realm in place. Okay. And I'm going to show you all this step by step. So let's take a look at how we break down the word earth. Okay. All right. Next slide, please. Okay. So looking at this image here, you can see how the letters fit with the words. So the first letter E of earth is electrical. It can be electrical, it can be electrostatics, it can be electromagnetics, but I'm just putting electrical right here for right now. And then the A in earth is arc, A-R-C, and then the R, which is a capital R with a small T and H, is thermal resistance. Okay, so Earth, EARTH, with the periods to create an acronym, is the electrical arc that creates thermal resistance. This is why in biblical terms, when they talk about Noah's Ark, they're talking about this. They're talking about the arc of the electrostatic realm, or the arcs of the electrostatic realm. When they talk about the flooding or the seas that happen, they're talking about the electrostatic seas. But we don't know that because we're only being told this through stories and pictorials and words, and hand-me-downs, right? In order to create beliefs. Okay. So not only does, with Earth, not only that, but the sonance. Okay, not only the words and the letters, because remember, letters are symbols. That's what they are. They're lines and circles to create symbols. And those symbols are given meaning and definition and sound. Okay, and placement inside the alpha, beta. Okay, energy frequency. And it's the same with numbers, Okay, so numbers run at a different frequency and letters run at its own frequency. And when put together to create sounds with definitions, that's called words. Okay, and you're spelling these things, it starts to create a frequency. All right, all words, all letters, and symbols create a frequency. So we have to understand that not only are we doing this, looking at words in a visual way, but we have to feel words in a way of sound or sonance. So Earth has a sonance that creates this plane of density and inertia called resistance existence. And it's through the hum and the ohms, OHMS, of the electromagnetic frequencies and fields. This is why we can see the word ear, EAR, inside the acronym of Earth, as well as we see the word ear within hear, like you're hearing, and ear and hear with the word heart, and heart within Earth, okay, as an anagram. So heart and earth are an anagram. Now, a lot of people go, but heart and earth, it's an anagram. It's such a beautiful thing. We're so connected. Well, that's because Earth is an electromagnetic realm. It's created through electromagnetics. And your heart is an electromagnetic pump. And it's creating electromagnetism as well that moves and vibrates, from inside of your body outside to about, 6 feet, and all around you. And so that's why it's similar, because they're both electromagnetic fields. Okay. So when we look at this, we don't just look at this again as the spelling. We want to look at this as the sound or the hum. And remember, in the Bible, it says, it began with the word. Life begins with the word, or the world begins with the word. And that's because the sonance or the sound, the hum it is the word that begins the world that is creation. It takes a lot of spirituality out of the understanding or understanding of where we're at, but it is the truth. Everything here is made of electrostatic energy. All right, next image, please. As for the sound vibration, when we hear our heartbeat, we are feeling and hearing the beat of the universe. Our blood being made and dispersed through the electromagnetic chambers of this plane, sealed under the firmament, also known as the thunderdome or the torus field in which we each exist in. So we exist in the greater toroidal field of the Earth itself that actually encompasses the cosmos and the galaxy, and the universe. And then we exist in our own personal toroidal field. that's around our bodies as well. As you can see in the image, how I showed and broke that down. So you can see that we're actually a microcosm of the macrocosm of this realm. And that's why I tend to call this a realm at this point, over a planet, because a planet at this point gets into an argument about whether it's a round ball or if it's a flat plane, or all these, but the thing is that what we have to understand is that it's so much more encompassing than flat and round and egg shaped and all sorts of things. We have to understand that it encompasses all of those things that I mentioned: universe, cosmos, and galactic, and that sort of thing. And that's all within the realm, or under the realm, of the firmament and its expansive nature. Okay, next image, please. Okay, so when we talk about being sealed in under the firmament, it's the firmament, and this realm is also known as the Thunderdome, which is the torus field in which we each are, right? I said that. So Thunderdome, let's just take a look at that and break that down. And you can see in this image here that you take out of Thunderdome, you take the TH, separate it out, then you've got the word under, and then you've got the word dome. Okay. So then when you put it together, it says the dome down under, or the dome under. But we'll say the dome down under. And then thunder itself relates to Thor, and Thor relates to Hathor's authorship of this dome, which via electromagnetism, electrostatic energy, and the elements within the solid matter of this plane. Our being under the firmament means that we have fallen below the looking glass into Alice's wonderland. And when we say wonderland, take off the W, and then you're left with an O, but go ahead and change out that O, because all vowels are interchangeable, and you've got a U. So we could put a U in there, could put any of those vowels in there, and you have underland or underland. So our being under the firmament means that we have fallen below the looking glass into Alice's wonder or underland, which is inside of matter within low density frequencies and by the low frequency pull. Okay. What people would call gravity, which I explain later on, that gravity is not really, it's valid and it's invalid. Like so many parts of this realm, there is validity, but then there is this other part that we're not taught. Okay. And we won't get into that today, but that low frequency pull, that's important because it's frequency pulling us in. Okay, next image, please. So let's go back to the word earth now. E stands for voltage or electromotive force. Okay. A stands for ampere, which is shortened for amp and is the unit of electric current or currency. And then the RTH is thermal resistance, as I said before. And RTH is, in terms of thermal resistance, is the ratio of temperature difference to thermal power between 2 points. Now remember the word points and the between spaces, because you're going to need to, so you can write that down, okay? Write down the 2 points and between the spaces. Also, thermal resistance, RTH, is defined as the ratio of the change in device temperature, and then some Greek numbers or symbols, to the electrical power applied, which is P, okay? And is expressed in these letters, and I know they won't make any sense to you unless you're an electrician. Just follow along because I'm going to be decoding it. but please understand that I don't expect anybody to understand these letters in terms of electricity, but please know that it means something, okay? So, so I was saying the ratio of the change in device temperature to the electrical power applied, which is just the letter P, which stands for power, and is expressed in C/W, big letters, or K/W. Okay, and that's important. So write that down if you want to. But C/W and then K/W. And don't forget, you can always screenshot my memes too. All right, now the SI unit, the SI unit of absolute thermal resistance is kelvins per watt. Kelvins, Kelvins per watt. And there's your K/W, or the equivalent degrees of Celsius per watt. And there's your C/W. The two are the same since the intervals are equal. So you've got like 1K and it equals 1C. Not going to make any sense to you. Doesn't really matter, but I'm going to show you some stuff, okay? All right. Next image, please. Now, Kelvin is a very interesting word. And it is obvious that we see the letters EL in the word for electricity, but it is also noticeable the word Elven, which is likened to elfin, right? Like Santa's elves, correct? Well, it is, and it also means extremely low frequencies. Okay, so when we take the Elven out of Kelvin and we allow it to be elfin, which is just another spelling, you've got elf, ELF, the elves, right? Santa's elves, okay? And that is extremely low frequencies. That's what it means, the elf waves. So I want you to remember this and the Santa's elves part of this for later on as well. So you can write that down. You can write down ELF in capital letters and then just scribble extremely low frequencies. Okay. So extremely low frequency or ELF fields includes alternating current. That's your AC current that you have in your houses, right? Okay, so it includes alternating current fields and other electromagnetic non-ionizing radiation that ranges from 1 to 300 hertz. And there's the 3, okay, because we're always looking for that 369 ratio of the Fibonacci sequence code of this realm, right? Okay. And L fields at 60 hertz are produced by power lines, electrical wiring, and electrical equipment that runs inside of the house. So it can go from 1 to 300, and they're running at about 60. And that's an extremely low frequency. But the most, and just so you know, that's considered dirty electricity. That's dirty radiation electricity. And it runs at a complete opposition to your field. So we go back to what I was talking about with the electromagnetic field inside of your body, inside of your biofield that surrounds your body at about 6 feet all the way around like an egg around you. Okay. So those, so your frequency runs at a high frequency. And same with animals, same with trees, that sort of thing. But this dirty energy that we're talking about, the kelvins, et cetera, that we're going to be talking about, it runs at a very low frequency, extremely low frequencies, ELF waves, and it is complete polar opposite to your body. And that's why so many people feel sick around radiation and around even their devices and the electrical field and actual halo inside their homes. All right, but the most interesting part of the word actually is Kel, K-E-L. Okay, so you can write that down because Kel is the pi root of the word hell, which the word hell means to cover or to conceal, to save and put away. So Kel and hell both mean to deceive. Okay. Kelvin means in the concealment of extremely low frequencies. Rue, you're asking who is Jesus then? You know what? Just sit through the show and we'll get into it, okay? We're going to get into it. That will be answered. Okay. And remember, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just the person that does the decoding. And this is what happens with it. The truth is revealed. Okay. So again, Kelvin means in the concealment of extremely low frequencies, meaning that all is hidden inside of those low frequencies. That this world is concealed from what? From something, or from us, or is it hidden from us and we're not able to perceive it because the frequencies are kept low, or that our true home or the truth is hidden from us? Of course, absolutely. And low frequencies is very much about what helps to generate and create the illusion that we're living in. And I'm going to say something that will be very hard for so many to digest, but everything you see with your physical eyes is illusion. Truly. And this is how the revelation happens, where we start breaking things down with some understanding. And then suddenly what happens is that we begin to see the fractals falling apart, and we could start to see things for what they really are. And that's where the truth is hidden. And it's a very hard journey to go through. Trust me, I know. I've spent many years sitting in the meadows under my trees, crying and wondering how to even stay grounded. But I found that the only way to ground is to stay with the truth and just keep inviting the truth to come in. That's the only thing. But it's okay, because once we get through the hard part of recognition through revelation, then we start to come out the other side into a breathable space that's beyond anything we've ever known, which is going to be so much more beautiful than this realm could ever be. Because why? Because the next image, please, will show you why we must continue to do this. Okay. All right. So let's hit back into Celsius. Okay. So we had the CW for Celsius, watts. So Celsius, that's a very interesting word, and it actually means mound. So all the people around the world are taking their temperatures through the Celsius temperature system, right? Because we started off with the thermal resistance and temperature and all that. And I think it's only the United States that uses the Fahrenheit system. But anyways, what Celsius actually means is mound. Okay. And it comes from the Latin word Celsus, which means raised, high, lofty, great. But it comes from the pi root of Cal. So you've got the pi root of Cal meaning hell, as I spoke of. And then you've got a secondary definition that means to be prominent, a hill, or a summit. Okay. They have summit meetings all the time on the larger mound to discuss the world, which is placed upon a mound, because the world and earth are two separate things, and then they merge. And I'm probably confusing you, but they are separate entities. You've got the world, and then you've got the earth itself, and then they merge and blend together. So anyways, when it comes to Celsius, it means mound, and this pi root is Cal, and that means to be prominent, a hill, and a summit. Celsius also comes from the Lithuanian word kalnas, Kalnas, and that means mountain. And mountain means hiding place. So mountain and kell and hell all mean the hiding place. Okay, and now when you look at this image, you have to look at it closely. Unfortunately, the way my system is, the image is kind of small, so it's really hard for me to see. But you can see that this is a cage. That this system is a caged system. And we've been caged in through illusion, through MK Ultra mind control, brainwashing, trauma, and an impossible set of consistent illusions. It's like living in a carnival show. And when we start to break free, we begin to see that not only have we been living inside of a cage, but our minds have been kept in a cage. And that's what we're trying to do, is release our minds. Okay, next image, please. Okay, so take a look at this image here. Now this shows that Kel, K-E-L, is a mound, a prominent hill, a mountain, and a hiding place. And it is concealed from us because we can't see actually what it is. But if you look closely at the word Celsius and the Latin word Celsus, you can see it clearly. First part of it spells cells, C-E-L-L-S. And the second or latter part of it, so first syllable is cells, and the second syllable is us. We are the cells, and we are hiding in cells, in hell, in Kel or Kells. We, us, all of us. That's how the system is structured. So there's the outer cell, and then there's all these other cells, including that which they say is flowing within us, keeping us alive, creating us. These cells inside of us are creating us to be enlivened and animated with breath, giving us matter, giving us these avatars to exist within, okay? Tissue, if you will, as well as the battery cells that comprise this realm that creates and generates electrostatic energy. So now we understand kW, which is kelvins per watts, and CW, which is Celsius per watts. And we have much more perspective of these words, okay? Right? We do? I told you I'd let you know what they are. But if you look at this image here, you can see the grossiosity. I think I made that up, but the grossiosity of this being that is gooed and filled with this goo that is just the slimy goo that's pouring down with the mask, the frontal mask of the face that is the presenting an illusion, presenting matter itself, and the oozy goozy. That's what this realm really is a reflection of when we peel back the layers. But does that mean go and be depressed and everything? No, it does not. We're just in revelation right now. Okay. Next image, please. Okay, so now go back to RTH. So RTH is essentially a measurement of a material's or a component's resistance to heat flow. It is the reciprocal of thermal conductance, which is the ability to conduct heat. Now, when I put all this together, I had to say, well, that's kind of like a boom shakalaka moment, right? Which we're going to put up a boom shakalaka image. But before we do, if you take a look at this particular image right here, I have put together a diagram for you to understand what thermal resistance looks like, diagrammed out, to kind of give a little bit of perspective of it. But when you take a look at the way we generate or conduct heat through, say, laser, DW, lasers, and other mechanisms within the electrical field where we're sparking thermal conductance to conduct heat itself, then what we get on a small level is that smaller spark between two polarities. You got the negative and you got the positive, right? Just your little battery in your car, and you're putting the jumper cables to it. And then you've got that which you all the way to a DW laser that comes from the sky attacking us. So that is why, next image, please. When we take the RTH, a measurement of the materials or components resistance to heat flow. What is heat flow? Well, heat flow is a conductive force of energy, right? Reciprocal thermal conductive force of energy that creates electrostatic field of energy. It creates the realm itself. It is absolutely what generates and creates all of this through us and around us. And that is part of the word earth. And that's why I give it a big, big boom shakalaka. Now, the earth, EARTH with the E.A.RTH, is the P. It's the big P. And that is the PowerPoint that has the task of reciprocation of thermal conductance, which means it is a conduction of heat. And what is hell? So, in religion, because religion designed our ideas of hell, right? And there's this dark, demonic Satan being who's all black and ugly, and it's red and it's orange and it's yellow and it's licked with fire, and people are screaming and they're tortured inside of it, et cetera, et cetera. They're damned. They're in the damnation of hell. But what is electrostatic energy? But it's the conduction of heat. And so all they did is they took the truth of what I'm sharing with you, okay, and created it into this idea, this massive idea, in order to create superstition and fear and have control over our minds. Oh my God, if we don't behave, we're going to hell. No, darling, you're already in it, because you're in an electrostatic field, and they presupposed and told you what hell is, and they showed you what hell is, and we believe that that's what hell is, but that's not it. And it doesn't have to be this god-awful, terrible thing, in terms of what we perceive through religion. We just have to have the awareness of what really they're saying, but they're not saying, because they're not going to tell us. Because if we recognize that we're in a machine, if you will, then they are not going to get anything out of us. They have to make us believe in this realm being organic and whole and run by the power of a benevolent and judicious and magnificent God, even though in the Bible it doesn't say anything about that type of God. In fact, it says the opposite: the wrath of God, the fear of God. Well, you don't have wrath or fear with a benevolent being. You have wrath and fear in the conduction of a very violent and a very hot and a very static field of energy that's controlled through mind manipulation. Okay, next image, please. Okay, but like with all electrical currency, the earth doesn't create conduction, resistance, voltage, wattage, ampage, or any part of itself alone. It would need to have both a positive and negative charge, the two poles, to create the currencies vital for this plane's existence. So this in turn makes me think of the sun and the moon. North and south poles, or rather negative and positive terminals and charges. So when they're talking about north and south poles, they make you believe only in Arctic and only in anti-Arctic or Antarctica. Oh, excuse me, I got ahead of myself. Okay. So again, it's all these ideas, and not to say that the Arctic doesn't exist and the Antarctic doesn't exist, but they name it the North and South poles, and then they get us to believe in a round ball floating through space, on this axis of North and South. But that's not necessarily true. What it really is that it's positive terminals and negative terminals. Okay, positive and negative terminals and charges, and it all has a relationship to do with the moon and the sun. Now, according to lying NASA, the moon is both negatively and positively charged. And they tell us that the night side lunar surface is negatively charged due to the precipitation of solar wind electrons, which generates downward electrical fields and accelerates electrons from this night side surface to higher altitudes along the magnetic field. And that the day side, so that's just the negative, that's the dark side of the moon. That's the negative side. And the day side is positively charged. But I'm not so sure that I agree with it. As I'm researching to understand all of this, that the majority of the moon would consistently be negatively charged. So they're actually, again, lying. Night side, negative. Day side, positive. I call out bullshit. Okay. The moon is a negatively charged whatever that is. And I keep going into what that is in different shows and different topics and that sort of thing. But I'm not going to do that today. But I want you to know that it is a negatively charged entity. How much day would it get and for how long? So the moon is the negative pole on the whole, with maybe some positive charge being relatively brief and very transitory within that whatever thing that it is. Okay. That's very intelligent, that whatever thing that it is. But trust me, that would be several shows, right? Over and over again. Okay. All right. And so you can see in the image, I'm showing you what that looks like when you're connecting through those polarities. Okay. Next image, please. And I do want to say that you have to know something about me. I'm an artist. Like, that's what I was born to be. I'm a teacher. I'm a writer. The way I operate, I'm talking about the way I think. Okay. I'm not talking about what I do, but I mean, I'm a counselor. I care for people. I'm a mommy. I take care of livestock and animals, and I hug trees. So when I got into breaking this down, it's because I woke up in the middle of the night and went, you're looking at this all wrong. It's time to look at it a different way. And I began to just take letters and take words and just keep breaking it apart. I didn't listen to anybody. I didn't hear anybody say anything. I just started following my own nose, my own mind, my own instincts, my own spirit. And so, so when I'm talking about electricity, it's like talking in hieroglyphics for me. So the fact that I can get this and put these things together in just enough of a way that it paints the picture and the appreciation of understanding where we're at. We don't have to go into all of the details and and get into knowing how electricity works and everything about it. We're not here to become electricians. We're just here to gain enough understanding or understanding of what this realm is. And like I said, this is basic. This is the basic. This is the first step. But I don't want you to feel like you have to have a degree in electricity or whatever. Okay. I just want you to know that. Okay. So now take a look at this image. You see the sun, the moon, and the earth. So the sun, like any plasma structure that has free electrons in it, is charged with a positive charge. And this is due to the greater mobility of electrons with respect to positive ions, which because of their mass has less mobility. Okay, so now we understand that the moon is negative and the sun is positive. So as far as Earth goes, it is electrically neutral, but the crust is negatively charged and the interior of Earth is positively charged. And in clouds, we have negative charge over its upper face and positive charge over its lower face. So you have a cloud, it's negative up on the top, and it's positive beneath. Okay? So now we see moon is negative, sun is positive, and Earth is neutral with negative on the crust in areas and positive in the inner parts of the matter, the Earth matter. Okay. And then it creates this net. So if you notice the net there, please notice the net. Okay. Next image, please. So Earth's surface and clouds' lower face have opposite charges and they face each other. And that's how, because the cloud has a lower face that faces the upper face of the Earth, that's how that kind of, again, terminals or poles or thermal resistance, and that's how it can create lightning, for instance, from cloud to ground, right? But also from ground to cloud, because again, remember, it's reciprocal. So yeah, we do make lightning from the Earth itself. We always think that it touches down, but it also goes up. All right. And the Earth is bathed in solar wind, which is both negative and positive charges, which will quickly neutralize the Earth's charge from the sun. So when we're talking about these winds, they're both positive and negative, and they're neutralizing the Earth's charge that's coming from the sun itself. So we call those solar charges. Meanwhile, we can see now over the last 2 years, the winds are getting stronger and much darker in their feeling space, right? They're getting colder, they're getting darker, because there is something shifting. They are shifting through the CERN system, HARP, NextRad, whatever systems, and also the whole electrostatic field is being changed and altered now with this terribly ungreat reset. So in rudimentary language, the moon is the negative pole while the sun is the positive pole, and together they charge the power point of the E.A.RTH, Earth, that is neutral, but still holds a negative charge at the crust and the positive in the core. And heat is conducted through these terminals and from the interior of the Earth's matrix. And you're going to ask me, well, what does this mean and why should I give a shit? Well, we'll figure out why we should care about this. We will together. All right, next image, please. So it is here that we find the sacred Trinity. And when I say the sacred Trinity, I want you to know that this whole realm is 3D, right? It's the 3D realm. And so there's like a gabillion trinities. But we're talking about the electrostatic field, and we're talking about that which is the creator of this realm. And therefore, we have to go and recognize that this is the sacred Trinity. So the Father being the moon, the Son being the sun, and the Holy Ghost being the earth. Okay? You go, what? And there are times where I actually flip that around, because the only thing that stays relatively stationary is the sun, S-U-N, being the Son, S-O-N, in reference to Jesus, right? And sometimes in understanding this realm, the moon sometimes can be noted as a holy ghost and the earth as the father mother. Okay, just so you know. But for this topic, it's just keeping it real simple. Father moon, sun, Holy Ghost is the earth. Well, the Holy Ghost. But then you got to understand what the word ghost is. And I don't have that because it just popped in my head to tell you. So I don't have that in my points here, but let me just say this, that if you take the word ghost, take the G off, move it over here, and then take HOST off and move it over there, then you've got host, and then you've got God. Okay, God's host. So the earth is the host for God. What God? That's the question. What God is it? Is the ghost. So when you're talking about the Holy Ghost, because holy, HOLY, is just another word for hell, actually. And I've shown that in other shows and articles, but it actually references low, to be low. Just look at it. Look at the word holy, HOLY. Write that down in your piece of paper. Then go ahead and pull out the LO and then squish that HY together. Okay. So now we'll find out what holy really means. And it's high low. It's HY is high and low is low. So above and so below. There's your high low. Ether and earth, representation of what they call hell. And then you've got your ghost, which is God's host. And that's earth. Earth is hosting for God itself. Hosting what? Life. What kind of life? Well, we'll have to get into that another time. All right. Now, let's take a look at the word Lucifer. Okay. So Lucifer, you want to take a look at Lucifer? Because Lucifer is very important. It's very important to right now, actually. So Lucifer is known as the Prince of Darkness that lights up this world. And we are taught to personify everything, just everything. We personify the earth. We personify every name in the Bible because they put it in the Bible and they say, worship this, worship this. This is your lineage. This is this. And I'm going to say it right now before anybody asks me or goes, oh, I'm done listening to her. I'm not an atheist. I'm not an atheist. But what I don't worship is I don't worship this realm. Okay. And our predators, the ones that are trying to destroy us right now, they do. So if they're worshiping here, I'm certainly not going to worship here. And there's reasons why. Okay. So just putting it out there, my disclaimer, I'm not an atheist, so please don't even think that. Okay. So while we are taught to personify this energy, Lucifer is just a part of the luminary system. Luminary, the word luminary begins with an LU, just like Lucifer. Next image, please. So LU means lumens, and lumens means light. And cipher, from Lucifer, means cipher or codes. So Lucifer, the beautiful sun that was tossed from the heavens where God allegedly exists and dumps him out into the void and says, you're a bad, bad son. I can't have you here anymore. I reject you. Huh? Come on. It just means light codes. It's a word that means light codes. There is no, again, personified being that was tossed from any heavens. Because, of course, if you're thinking of God tossing Lucifer out of the heavens, what's the word heavens mean? It means to heave up and out, to heave out. So Lucifer was heaved out, right? Because it's light codes, generates lights made up of codes. It's really very simple, but the scourge has layered all of this knowledge. The scourge would be the Lites, all of this knowledge and personifying every system. And what they do is they wrap it in faith and they wrap it in superstition in order to control us by the power, that's the big P, of an almighty God, right? The power of God, the power of God. And you go to your computer and you click that button, you power it on, you power it off. There's no difference. The power of God is the electrostatic field, light codes, lumens, and ciphers. But he looks kind of gorgeous in this picture, doesn't he? All right, next image, please. Are we having fun yet? Let me know if we're having fun. Okay, so now you take the EA from Earth and you have electrical arc. And again, I'll repeat, that is the arc of the waters. That is the ARK of the waters. RTH is the thermal resistance of the electrical seas, and it also means the rhythm of the waters, the inflow and the outflow of currencies. And currencies are the currents of the seas, the negative and positive charges, and every part of its cyclical conduction. Does that make sense to you guys? So here we start to see the beginning foundations, if you will, of the maritime system that's been in placed over us, which we'll get into in another show. But so you've got your currencies with the current seas, the rhythms of the waters, and the electrical seas, where they said to us, well, you live on a blue planet. We do. Yes, you do. And it's a ball and it spins around and the water never goes anywhere. And I remember thinking, as soon as somebody told me that, 5 years old or whatever, I'm going, how does the water not fall off the ball? Like that doesn't make, because it goes really fast. Then how come we're not dizzy all the time? How come we're not flying off the ball? So children are asking these questions because the whole idea of a ball, it just doesn't make any sense, right? But when you're looking at this as an electrostatic sea instead of a water sea, then you start to understand, because we all know we're electromagnetic, and so many people are very proud of that. I wouldn't be. It's what creates matter, okay? And that has to come through density and inertia. Okay, now Lucifer, the light bearer, its original name was Samael. Because I know that Samael must be connected to the elemental table or to electrical currency, I had to go searching. And when I was searching for it, I hit pay dirt. There is an element that is on the periodic table called samarium, and it has the atomic number 62. And it's very interesting because a lot of things happened in 1962 when you go back in history and you look things up, And I was born in 62, by the way. In fact, I was born on 6/2/62. So there's a lot of 62 there for me. But anyways, samarium. And samarium used to have the symbol SM. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It has the symbol SM. And it used to have the symbol SA. But they changed it somewhere along the line to an SM. But anyways, we can see how the element samarium, it has the same value of Samael, because samarium is spelled, as you can see in here. I think you could see in here. No? Okay. SAMA, Sama. And that is for samarium. So SAMARIUM, and then you have SAMAEL for Samael. And in fact, we're going to show you now. Next image, please. Okay, so here are some very interesting facts about samarium, aka Samael, and I want you to listen closely. Okay, because again, now we're going to go in a different direction using other words that we're not kicking around every single day in our vocabulary. And if he keeps barking, I'm going to have to take a break and let him out. All right, so the word samarium is used to dope calcium chloride crystals for use in optical lasers. It is also used in infrared absorbing glass and as a neutron absorber in nuclear reactors. So samarium is, again, I'll repeat, dope is used to dope calcium chloride crystals, and that's used in optical lasers. Think DEWs. And is also used in infrared absorbing glass and as a neutron absorber in nuclear reactors. It is a rare earth element that is characterized by its excellent electrical conductivity, high valence, and low oxidation affinity, making it an excellent conductor of heat and electricity. And it's corrosion resistant. Okay, and if you look at all these, you can see much better than, you can see the patterning of samarium, and you can see the word Sumerian in there because that has a relationship with samarium, by the way. And you can also see Soma from Robot X, X being death, right? The letter X, Twitter now is X, meaning death, just like metaverse of Facebook means death. And you can see the image there of the death image. Okay, next image, please. Samarium also has several important magnetic properties. So remember what I just said, that samarium is an excellent electrical conductor, and it conducts heat and electricity. And then we come over here and we go, it's important magnetic properties. And it makes that useful for different applications like samarium cobalt magnets. Magnetic, are some of the strongest permanent magnets available. Permanent. Samarium is also used in samarium neodymium magnets. I think I pronounced that correctly, or dymium, which are even stronger than the cobalt magnets and permanent. You kind of want to just think of pillars. So right here, we can see that samarium is both electrically and magnetically useful and vital for both, as well as for nuclear reactions. Okay. And nuclear is a word that they love to kick around, and we will be clearing that up over time too, because they impose a lot of disinformation to put fear in us. And while we're looking outside into the nuclear expression, we have to really look inside most of all. Okay, and you can see here in this image of hell, right? Because samarium creates electricity and magnetism, heat conduction, and you can see the laser beam coming from outside, the DEW. All right, next image, please. So the L at the end of Samael means electrical and elemental. So samarium is electromagnetic. And what are we living in but an electromagnetic realm, electromagnetic field? That's what we're living in, right? Kind of like underneath a firmament, which is kind of like a terrarium and samarium and some sumerium. And you just start pulling all of these words together. You start getting an understanding of what all of this means. And when you start looking at words like the Elohim itself, and you start going Elohim, the EL and the electrical, and the EL and the elemental, and the EL and the electromagnetic. And here we got the Elohim that we've got, thinking that that's a God as well. So I'm going to just say this is kind of like a big boom when we start a boom shakalaka, because when we start looking at the whole idea of what this realm is, and we start understanding what EL means in all of this, and how it's interpreted and in creation of this realm itself, it starts, and you start pulling out words like Lucifer, and you can see how it falls into this realm under electrostatic understanding or understanding. It starts to make sense. Okay, so then for me, because I can't do Lucifer and not go ahead and do Satan or Satana El. Satana El was the first name that Satan was given. Okay, first it was Satana El, and then they dropped the L, and then it was Satana, and then they dropped the and then they left it at Satan. Okay, but so we're going to go with the overall, the first original name, because that matters. Okay. So I decided to go ahead and start looking at Satana L, and I headed over to the periodic table. But as we know, the elemental symbols are only 2 letters inside their abbreviations. Okay, so if you look at the first 2 letters of Satana L, like Samarium, we know that it's SA, right? Which is now SM, and it stands for Samarium. But then I thought, okay, so we know SA is Samarium. Now I'm going to go look at TA. And there it was. There was just another word just standing right there. And it's just like, look at me, Raven. And it was called tantalum. Okay, tantalum. And that has an atomic number 73. So we had 62 for samarium, and now we have 73 for tantalum. Next image, please. One of the main uses of tantalum is in the production of, guess what? Electronic components, such as computers. An oxide layer which forms on the surface of tantalum can act as an insulating, meaning dielectric. And if you pull, it's an insulating layer, dielectric layer. And if you pull off the die, D-I-E, die into electric layer, just saying, because tantalum can be used to coat other metals with a very thin layer, a high capacitance can be achieved in a very small volume. And this makes tantalum capacitors attractive for portable electronics such as mobile phones. It gets a little bit alarming, I have to tell you. When you put it all together, it starts to get a little bit alarming. Okay, but tantalum allegedly causes no immune response in mammals, so has found a wide use in making this in surgical implants, by the way. So now they're taking the 2 letters in the middle of Satana L, and they're making something of it, and they're using it as surgical implants. It can replace bone, for example, in skull plates, as foil or wire connects torn nerves, and as woven gauze, it binds abdominal muscles. And also, just so you know, it's very useful in the service of transhumanism as well. And so in the transhumanist community, I'm just going to say this, I'll probably repeat it over many shows, but in the transhumanist community, their belief is that we all are transhuman, so why not go further with it, living in a virtual reality as opposed to living in an organic, holistic reality that we're all feeling out of sorts with when we're children anyways. But they figure it this way, that the moment that we say wear glasses, or we get a hearing aid, or we put clothing on, or we wear a hat, or use sunglasses, or we go and get a hip replacement, etc., we're already transhumaning. Okay, so if we're already in the process of transhumaning, then we're already in the process of transhumanism, and therefore, why not just go further? It just isn't any different according to them. Hey, we got mercury in our teeth. If we lose an eye, they put a glass eye in. If you need a valve replaced in your heart, they just take one from a pig or some sort of design. If you lose your leg, you put a prosthetic leg on. you're transhuman. Okay? So if they take the tantalum that they're already using inside of you and you don't know what they're using because you're just trusting the white coats, you don't understand that you are in process. Is it any wonder that it was not more than 50 years ago, people did not have to have their knees and their hips replaced? But now most of us are having to have our knees, our hips replaced. And I'm going to tell you why, and I'm not going to get into it, but just to put it down on your piece of paper, it's because they're killing our thyroids. And when you kill the thyroid off, then the hips begin to start suffering quite considerably. Overusage and overlabored beings. We're overlabored, we work hard, we play hard, we're constantly in mobility, and our thyroids and our immune systems are being tanked. And yes, we have an immune system. It starts in our biofield, it goes throughout our entire body, and it starts breaking down. And so it starts breaking down the tissues, all the toxic foods, all the toxic air, all the toxic everything, water, fluoridation, chlorination, all of it is destroying our thyroid along with the radiation. And so therefore we have to have these replacements. Now we're the $6 million man and the $6 million woman because we're starting to be replaced. Previously known as tantalum, it is named after Tantalus, a figure in Greek mythology. And tantalum is a very hard, ductile, lustrous, blue-gray transition metal that is highly corrosion resistant, which is why they can use it in the body, and is part of the refractory metal groups, which are widely used as components of strong, high melting point alloys. Okay, so blue-gray is also known in transhumanism and in the gray technology. So now we've got the SA, we've got the TA, right? All right, next image, please. But when I'm talking about Tanta or tantalum, I'm talking about TANTA. And that's only a one-letter differential in the word Santa or Santa. The cherry red fat man who is a jolly clone of his namesake, Satan. Satan and Santa are anagrams of one another, and Santa or Santa is the one who oversees the elves, the extremely low frequencies of this world. Santa, Satan, Satana, El, one and the same. Remember, write these things down because it always comes back up. I will always take you full circle. Okay. So now we're going to go on and see how they're one the same. Okay, so now we've got the samarium and we've got the tantalum that helps us to decode Satana L, but there still leaves us with the letters Na, which is the symbol for sodium on the elemental table. And guess what number that has? It has the atomic number of 11. And what have I always said about 11 for those of you who listen to me? What does 11 mean? It means death. It is the pillars. I said pillars earlier. It is the pillars. It's the gateway. It's like a doorway that we walk through. We die, death, 11. Sodium. Really? Let's take a look at sodium now. So, and by the way, how do you like Santa there? Isn't he so adorable with all of his gifts that he just keeps giving? The little Satan giving to us while he puts his finger over his lips. Okay, next image, please. Okay, sodium is the most common alkali metal, and the sixth, look at the word six, number 6, the sixth most abundant element on Earth, comprising 2.8% of Earth's crust. Okay, it doesn't seem like a lot, but it's a lot. It occurs abundantly in nature in compounds, especially common salt, sodium chloride, NaCl, which forms the mineral halite and constitutes about 80% of the dissolved constituents of seawater. Okay, so you've got Na sodium that is 2.8 in the crust, but 80% of seawater. There are huge deposits of rock salt in various parts of the world, and sodium nitrate deposits exist big time, Chile and Peru. And the sodium content of the sea is approximately 1.05%, so it makes up 80%, corresponding to the concentration of approximately 3% of sodium halides. Again, you're probably not going to ever remember this, but I have a reason for telling you. Sodium has been identified in both the atomic and ionic forms in the spectra of stars. Let me repeat that. Sodium has been identified in both the atomic and ionic forms in the spectra of stars, including the sun. And this is why I tell you. So this is hugely interesting, right? Like my head when I'm putting all this together is going, what? Wow, bingo. Oh my God. And there was rockets coming off of White Dove Ranch here in Arizona. So sodium, here's another thing, sodium conducts heat and electricity easily and exhibits the photoelectric effect. That's the emission of electrons when exposed to light to a very marked degree. And sodium is by far the most commercially important alkali metal. Most processes for the production of sodium involve the electrolysis of molten sodium chloride, which is used with a number of metals such as, guess what? Tantalum, of course, and then titanium, which also is being used inside of our bodies, and silicon. Really? And what makes silicon, and what does silicon make? I'll let you all ponder on that. It is also widely used as a heat exchanger and in sodium vapor lamps. So the yellow color of the sodium vapor lamp and the sodium flame, that's the basis of the analytical test for sodium, is identified with two prominent lines in the yellow portion of the light spectrum, which brings me right to the yellow sun and the flame when you have a fire. Yellow sun, and that yellow sun is Lucifer. And Lucifer is the rising sun. Answer to the Jesus question. All right, next image, please. And remember, Lucifer is the light codes. We take away the personification and the horror, and we recognize it's the light codes. That's the rising sun. Now, additionally, though the word nature is not reduced to an abbreviation, Na actually does mean nature, as sodium is found in all aspects of nature. In its natural state, salt is normally found as the mineral halite, as I said before, and halite is commonly called rock salt. So when you're having rock salt and you're putting that in your food, you're actually putting in halite. And not surprisingly, the word halite, get this, guys, is derived from the Greek word halos. Halos, you know, the thing that angels wear on their head. And it means salt. Halos, that's the sun, or what we think is the sun, behind so many heads in religious paintings. Halite is usually found in and around all salt springs, salt lakes, and inside the ocean. So now we've got the salt is halite is halos, and halos is salt, and that is what is being shown to us as the discs behind Jesus's head, behind Mother Mary's head, the Virgin Mary, and all other iconic saints and whatever. Okay, because what they did is they actually took these very basic elements that comprises the system, whether it's in the elemental table or in the elements itself, or if it's comprised within the electrostatic energy, and they put faces to it, they personified it, because we're not going to follow a flame, we're not going to follow a kernel of rock salt, we're not going to follow any of that, but we will follow an image of ourselves. And especially if it says, and God made you in his image, and then shows you these images, you're going to follow that. And that's how they trained humans to become followers as opposed to leaders. Now, what I'm going to tell you is really important to understand. The root word hal, H-A-L, from halite, it comes from the Old English word H-E-A-L-L, which means a spacious, roofed residence, house, temple. And here we go, my people. It means a law, court, L-A-W hyphen C-O-U-R-T. So hal for halite is hell, H-E-A-L-L. And that is a spacious roofed residence. There's your firmament. The house or the temple is the earth itself. And the law court is the maritime system that's got us locked down. And it also stems from the Proto-Germanic word hallow, H-A-L-L-O, which means a covered place, a hall. And that comes from the Old English word hell. And that comes from the Old Gothic word halja, which means hell. And they all stem from the Pi root word kel, K-E-L, which means to cover, conceal, and save. House, temple, spacious roofed residence, firmament. Okay? And halja, H-A-L-J-A, what does that spell? Hallelujah. 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 And we're singing the song of hell. We think the word hallelujah is praise of. No, it is praise of hell. And also, just so you all know, that the word hall, H-A-L-L, it means hell. It's the same word as hell. Not just because the A and the E are interchangeable, but because hall means hell. I just showed you. And also it means it comes from halite. So when you're walking down the halls of your house, just so you know, that passageway that you're walking through called a hall is hell inside your house, which is hell under a roof. So there you go. How do you feel about that? Sodium, which is Na, and nature is formed in and is in the creation of hell. Okay, really happy topic, isn't it? But you know what? It's truth. And what are you going to do about it? You either know it or you don't. Okay, next image, please. There you go. There's halite. And isn't it gorgeous? Okay. I would love to just have your whole screen become just beautiful images of halite, because halite's gorgeous. I own halite. I just think it's beautiful. But if you look at halite, guess what it grows in? Cubes. And it grows in cubes. And what do we live in but a black cube? It's called a metatronic cube. Meta tronic cube. Meta in Hebrew is death, and tronic. Okay, that's what we're living in. And there's halite cubed. So let me just say this. The breakdown for Satana L is Sa, samarium, Ta, tantalum, and Na, sodium. And then you got that L right at the end, which means electrostatics and elements simultaneously. So there is your Satana L. So now we've learned Lucifer is light codes and Satana L is elements from the earth itself. Lucifer is electricity or electrostatics, and Satana L is the earth. But the energy, there's an energy that has the capacity to do work. Okay. Earlier when I said psi, the SI, that is the standard unit that's used for energy. Just so you know, I didn't tell you that earlier, but the psi unit means standard unit. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you that energy is the capacity to do work. With the standard unit psi used for energy, and work is called a joule, Joule, a joule. And a joule of energy is defined as the energy expended by 1 ampere to 1 volt, moving in 1 second. Okay, lots of ones, and there's a reason why the ones are very significant. Okay, electric current results from the movement of electric charge, that's electrons, around a circuit. But to move the charge from one node to another, there needs to be a force to create the work to move the charge. And there is. And that's called voltage. Okay. V, the V you see everywhere, voltage. All right. And do you see that image there? So you can see, okay, that even in the depiction of art, you've got Satana L holding, and what you see is the fire, and that is the electrostatic energy coming from the sphere itself. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so we tend to think of voltage, the V, as existing between two different terminals, points or nodes within a circuit or a battery supply. But voltage is important as it provides the work needed to move the charge from one point to another, either in a forward direction or a reverse direction. That's alternate currency. And the voltage or potential difference between two terminals or points is defined as having a value of 1 volt when 1 joule of energy is used in moving 1 coulomb of electric charge between these two terminals. So the the joule does the work. It is doing the work of moving the energy. The volt is also inside of that workload or that payload, and that's moving the charge, right, from terminal to terminal. That charge is called a coulomb. In other words, the voltage difference between 2 points or terminals is the work required inside the joules to move 1 coulomb of charge from point A to point B. Therefore, voltage can be expressed as being, and you can see in the formula on your screen, 1 volt equals 1 joule and 1 coulomb, which is JC. So V is voltage or volts, J is the work or energy, as in joules, and C is the charge in coulombs. Thus, J equals 1 joule and C equals 1 coulomb, and then V will equal 1 volt. But here we can see the great conductor, joule, that works in perfect synergy, also known as psi energy, with the charge coulomb in order to create the sacred V, voltage. One of the reasons why the vagina is with a V, because when you have that friction, the movement, that friction of movement between the penis and the vagina, it creates this synergy, this psi energy, this charge. And it allows, this friction allows for the release into that perfected canal that allows the spark once that sperm and that ovum connect. Oh, interesting, isn't it? Oh, maybe that's why Oprah and Merkel and all of these beings just continue to make, the little pyramid sign with their hands, the little V. Yeah. V for voltage, V for vagina, V for victory, V for. All right. So what voltage is is the pressure from an electrical circuit's power source that pushes charged electrons, that's the current, through a conducting loop, enabling them to do work such as illuminating a light. In brief, voltage equals pressure, and it is measured by volts, V. So in electricity's early days, voltage was known, and going all the way back to the beginning of this show, is known as electromotive force. An electromotive force is EMF. And this is why in equations such as Ohm's law, that's OHM's law, voltage is represented by the symbol E. And that takes us back to electricity and electrostatics. All right, next image, please. And I'm getting way behind schedule here. Okay. So I'm sorry. Please forgive me. But there's your Jesus Christ. And before Jesus ever existed, because Jesus only came to hang on a cross, which is also the black cube. Before Jesus, there was this dude that you all know about named Julius Caesar. And the two JCs, they're one and the same. Julius Caesar first, then came Jesus Christ second, and then there is always Jules Coulomb, because that is what people are worshiping. The working charge that creates voltage, that's the sun. SON, also known as the yellow sun. Jules Coulomb. So on this note, let us review in short who, well, no, you know what? No, because I really want people to sit with that for a moment. Because you see, the thing is that when they created religion because they understood that humanity was indelible, was gullible, was naive, was innocent, not because we were stupid. In fact, it was quite the opposite. Prior to our incarnation into avatars of matter, we were these stupendous beings of frequency and intelligence and essence. And when we were brought into avatars, when we were shown by the serpent, again, personification, of would you like to have knowledge of something else? Well, it wasn't greater knowledge, although we were taught we were told it's going to be greater knowledge to add to who you are and what you know, because you're incredible existential essential beings. And we go, yeah, I'd like to have more knowledge, because that's what we were. We were these collective forces of just absorption of wisdom, knowledge, whatever. The word would be essence and essenes, the great essenes of the great mystery schools. Well, that was who we were. We were the mystery schools, because we are mysteries. We are my stories, and we are the essence. And these pirateers came to us and they encouraged us, but it was the serpent, because the serpent was the serpentine electrostatic energy. You understand? And that's what said, would you like to? So we go, yeah. Oh, okay. So I have to drop into these bodies. Okay. I'm going to learn more. But there was never any learning more. It was always about becoming enslaved to serve the pirateers, the Elites, the Kabbalists, whatever you want to call them. And so they had to manufacture religions. And the first religion was Hinduism, then it was Judaism, and then and I've written all of them sequentially in order, what they were. Christianity is relatively new. Islamism is incredibly new. Okay. I cannot tell you all of these religions. Oh, these people could not be, would not succumb to Christianity or Judaism or Hinduism or anything else. Okay, we'll come up with Shintoism. Okay, we'll come up with Buddhism or Taoism or, whatever, Sufism, whatever. We'll just come up to fit this particular region and its cultures, its culturization, so that they will fall victim to what they wanted to teach to bring us into superstitious minds. I think Elvis Presley sang about superstitious minds. Why? Because it's important. They had to create this for us, and we would fall gullible. Because why? Because we're existential essential beings, and therefore we're always seeking that return to that greater benevolence, or what we call the great spirit, or the great Belova, or whatever, the omnipotent one, or whatever. There aren't really any correct terms for this, because it's so much beyond all that. And that is essence. That is truth. It's truth. So in order for us to stay here in reverence to that which we know is greater truth, they had to come up with these designs, and they got us to believe in Buddha, didn't exist. They got us to believe in Socrates, didn't exist. I've blown all of these out of the water. They never existed. Aristotle didn't exist. Julius Caesar did not exist. Jesus Christ, sorry, didn't exist. But what always existed was Jules Coulomb. The work, that force that moves the charges, moves the electrons to create electrostatic energy, to create matter. So on this note, just a very quick review in short of who and what the Jews, Jew, really are. They are not Jewish people, but they're the Jews, Jus, right? Jews, which is an abbreviation for the word Juanus, which is shortened for the word Jew Anunnaki. Worshippers of Janus, the two-faced, miserable piece of shit deity of the past and the future, time warp deception. You can't have illusion unless you have time. So fuck it. fuck time, fuck illusion, and fuck this goddamn deception. I'm sorry, but I'm going to say it like it is, and you all should be mad about it too. So the true Jews, spelled J-U-S, are from the Anus, the Anunnaki lines. And the Jews are the jewels, or rather the J-U-S are the worshipers who bow to the electrical jewels and to the Elohim. And when they first made jewelry, it was gold. They created gold jewelry, like the golden sun. And they placed that jewelry around our necks, on our ears, fingers, wrists, ankles, everywhere. Why? To shackle us, to show that we are slaves to the sun. And now you're going to hate me for saying jewelry, but it is symbolic of the shackles that we have upon us because we bow on our knees and we worship the sun. S-U-N, yellow golden sun, and S-O-N, Jesus Christ, who really is the jewel's cologne. We bow to the electrical jewels and to the Elohim. Next image, please. Okay, so now we go back to the E, and we understand that E comes from Elohim, and it stands for electricity and extremely. Those are the two words I keep reiterating. Okay, so now we're going to break the word Elohim down. So Elohim, electricity or extremely, and then you've got the Elo, which means low, L-O-W, and then you've got the hymn, which means the hymn, H-Y-M-N, like the hymnal, and more importantly, the hum. But either way you do it, either way you look at it, it's all about vibration. It's all about sound or sonnets. The hum of the electrostatic charge or frequencies. It creates the hum. The hymn is the song, the sonnets, the hum of the electromagnetic charges. Okay? And together, the Elohim means the extremely low hum or hymn. Essentially, this is the sounds, it's the vibrations of the toroidal field that manifests as this realm while holding it all together. It holds it all together. And I'm going to point something out right now. And I actually, because it just, I got to write it down myself. So hold on one second, please. Okay, so you take the word hymn. If you take the word hymn, you write it on your piece of paper, put the word H-Y-M down, make a space, and then put the letter A, please. And when you do that, you've got a space, right? So you've got the H-Y-M. Just so you know, even though Y is considered a consonant, we know that it can be transversed as a vowels, right? A-E-I-O-U and sometimes Y. Okay, so if you pop off the lower part of that Y and you just leave it, you know, the almost circle with just the little line down, you got a U, right? So now you pop that off and you go, oh God, that's hum. Anyways, so him is hum anyways. But let's go ahead for the sake of sakers and we'll just leave that line on there. And you've got H-Y-M space and N. And then go ahead and put a little old vowel there that starts the alpha beta system. Put an A in there. And if you want, you can put an E in there. And you got the word hymen. And so why are little girls precious to the Elites? Because they have a hymen. They got that special little flesh that keeps the song out. She's virginal, right? They're always after the virgins. And so in order to make that hum, they want to pop that cherry, be the first one, because they're sicko pedophiles. They want to pop that cherry and make it bleed and make that hum sound. Why? Because loosh creates the electrostatic field. I hope I'm not getting too upsetting to you guys and upsetting PFP. All right. Next image. But you have to understand that the original hum is the procreation that allows the sperm to enter and connect with the ovum to give that spark of life. That's the original electrostatic spark. So that's why it's the hum. That's why it's the first hum. That's why it's called the hymn, the hymnal, or the hymen. Okay. Then not only that, but you take the Ohim, O-H-I-M, from Elohim, and it means Om, O-H-M, and Om, O-M. It's the primordial sound of the universe, which is the electrical ohm. And that means, the electrical ohm means a measurement of resistance between 2 points of a conductor when a constant potential difference of 1 volt is applied to those points and a current of 1 ampere is produced. Anyways, in simpler terms, it's the equivalent of 1 volt per 1 ampere, also known as the VA. You can't make this stuff up. I mean, it's like VA. Okay, so now the VA system, for our Veterans Association, I mean, you can't make it up. It's and also, let me just say this, because I keep bringing it there because there's a reason. It also begins the word vagina, VA. V, the peace sign the Illuminators and Satanists throw up, and the A, which is the pyramid, and various other symbols they worship. In fact, the Masonic symbol and the Star of David both contain the V and the A together. It is an integral and very important part of the creation of the Metatronic black cube this universe exists within. So while the world hates on the Jewish people, or the Jews, the Elites, Sodomites laugh at the world. These counterfeit pricks are no more Jewish than the man in the moon, but they are the original Jews, J-U. They are the Juanos. They are the Jewelites, Joule hyphen ITES, which makes them the Jewels, JEWELS, or the Jewels, JOU-ELS, Jewels of this realm. And what they worship that because they worship matter. And they worship matter so much, that's why they call the earth mater, M-A-T-E-R. Earth is matter, M-A-T-T-E-R. Mater, or mother, is M-A-T-E-R. Do you understand why they call it the mother now? It is not in reverence of the feminine principles. They worship the physical realm over the realm of spiritual existence. Okay. Unfortunately, the Jewish people who practice Judaism have no idea that they are worshiping electricity and are innocent MK Ultra victims, just like the Jesus worshiping Catholics and Christians who are worshiping Jules Colomb on the cross, and the Allah worshiping Muslims. We have Allah been taken for a serious ride on this lying side of this moon. Next image, please. So it just boggles my mind how they have us all in some way worshiping a freaking circuit board. I think of the Muslims who take sabbaticals to Mecca to bow to the black cubed Kaaba. Ka, the serpent, Ka is the serpent electrical arc. Baal, Baal, the sun god. And the whole Abrahamic, right? Because Abraham and Ishmael and the Kaaba with the Ark of the Covenant and that meteorite that's allegedly in there. Come on, people. We got to do better than this, but we have to wake up to do better, right? Okay. So the Kaaba is the serpent electrical arc and the sun god, and the Abrahamic, which is abracadaver, Canaanite. Canaanite is Ka, and then also the Ka and the CA, and then the AA, and it's just a mess, you guys. And then you've got the sodium and A and the night and all this whole thing with the lines and the Ark of the Covenant and all the meteorite and all they got a rock salt in there, dudes. That's what they got inside the Kaaba, and they call it a meteorite. Dude, it's a halite. We're worshiping salt, for God's sakes. What irritates me the most is we hold on, we are so locked in. And when you start releasing it and you get to a point where you're like, oh, this is what it really is. And you think of those idiots in their $2,000, $3,000, $10,000 silk suits and silk ties and cashmere freaking dresses or whatever the hell they wear. And they're laughing at us, at the idiot servants who don't even know that we literally are bowing and praising electricity. And if you ever, and I'll show you in another show, but if you ever look at the way the Kaaba sits inside of the stadium, it's a stadium where lions used to kill gladiators, and there is this Kaaba and all the people, that's black, and all the people are wearing white and they're all bowing. It's a circuit board. You have to see it from above. It's a freaking circuit board, and they don't even know it. They don't even know it. That being said, these devices of worship were constructed in order for us to worship, so that what happens is that we generate the power. We generate this electromagnetic power that makes this realm run. Ecstatic worship. Think of it. The word ecstatic, electrostatic. Do you see that? Okay, it gives the realm loosh. And people are spelling the word loosh, Loosh, I believe, loosh, but it's really supposed to be spelled write this down, Loesh. Because if you take that and you anagram it, it spells Sheol, Sheol, which is another word for Hades or hell. So without loosh, because you're providing, when you're creating loosh, you're creating energy. Without loosh, guess what happens? This whole thing fades into historical obscurity. And honestly, you know what else it fades into? This very decayed excrement. Like, it cannot exist anymore. If we stop looshing, if animals and humans stopped looshing, this thing would die. Because we are what is creating the electrostatic energy that we're living in. We are literally imprisoning ourselves and each other, and we don't even know it. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm lying. Oh, see that image? I already showed you. I didn't realize it. I thought that was for another show, but here we go. Look at that image. You're probably going, hey, Raven, wake up. But I don't see the images, but I'm looking at it right now. See the Kaaba in the center? And then you got all the people in a circle, right? And look at the power on and power off button. Do you see? They're showing us, you guys are the batteries. You're creating the energy when you're bowing and having that ecstatic feeling inside of worship and lova and reverence and honor and all these different feelings. And it's this ecstatic energy. And that is literally powering on and powering us off. That Kaaba is very much a part of creating this electrostatic system now. All right, next image, please. It's the same with the Christians and Catholics who worship Jesus, who hangs on the cross, the Trinity, the Mother Mary, who is the earth. Mother Mary, the Virgin Mother, is E.A.R.T.H, who worships the penis Christmas tree while hanging the yoni wreath on their door, welcoming people in while eating from the blood of body of the Son, blood and the flesh of Christ, the Son, which is electricity. And you go, where the hell did she get that one? I'm just simply telling you, the Christians and the Catholics, they celebrate Christmas. And all I'm saying is you put that Christmas tree up, you're putting up the penis. And when you put that wreath up, you're putting up the yoni. Okay? You are worshiping the phallus. You are worshiping the vagina. You're not even worshiping the womb, for God's sakes. Okay? And then what do? Go to church, take communion, eat the flesh, drink the blood. What are you doing? You're just worshiping electricity. And that's why the lights are going on the tree. That's why lights and candles and all sorts of things are happening. Okay? That's all it is. That star on top, what I tell you it was made up of, star representation of Lucifer, right? The Venetia star. Okay? So you're putting Lucifer on the top of your tree. And if you're not doing that, you're putting the angel on top of the tree. And the angel means the angle, the angles of the arcs. And I can't even, been saying it for years, and truthers don't stop celebrating. Oh, but my family. Teach your family. Don't comply. It is impossible. We're never going to get out of here if we don't stop doing this. Well, anyways, let's go ahead and put the next. Would you see that? Wait a minute. Leave it right there. And there you got Jesus, his hand up, above, his hand pointing to the heart. You see those thorns around it? It means voltage. It means voltage. The thorns on his head. Yeah, the crown. Voltage. Voltage. The two hearts together. Voltage. The corona around the heart. Electromagnetism. I'm telling you that this is all it's about. All of it. Okay, now next image, please. And then you have the Jewish people with their black cube teflons. Isn't a teflon like Teflon? You know, yeah, buy a Teflon skillet, round, right? You kidding me, right? All Teflon, like a Teflon, like a yarmulke, yeah, like a Saturnella disc, yeah, and they're killing us with it. So you got the black cube Teflons. That's a little box that the Jewish men wear on their heads and on their arm, while they wrap it around their arms 7 times. Isn't that interesting? 7 times, like 7 planets, 7 continents, 7 chakras, 7 holes in our head with our brains oozing out because we believe all this shit. And then they wear their flying saucer yarmulkes while they wail to the wall, reciting to the Torah, from the Torah. And Torah just means to Ra. Ra, Amun Ra, the sun god, Amun Ra, Egyptian sun god, by the way. And it's a Torah means to Ra, the sun I worship. And they're praising the Elohim and Melech, who is Moloch, that owl dude that's sitting in Bohemian Grove eating children, while some fall victim to the Talmud of evil deception that's even worse than the worst of the worst. But the Jewish people unknowingly worship electricity. Okay, not putting down Jewish people. I was born Jewish. Okay. All right. Next image, please. And to add insult to injury after injury, then you've got Julius Caesar's full name, and it is Gaius Julius Caesar. You say, Gaius, that sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? Well, heck yeah, it is, because Gaius is the masculine version of Gaia, the E.A.R.T.H. And then you've got the word Julius. So you've got Gaius, which is Gaia. And then you've got Julius, which is the word Joules, Joules. And then you have Caesar, that stands for Coulomb, Coulomb, Coulomb. And then Caesar. Okay, Caesar. So you got the CAE, which means SEA, and then you got SAR, which means Czar. Czar. Oh, wait a minute. They're both one and the same word, aren't they? You got the Czar, TSAR, anagrams to star. And now we're back to that again. So now what did I say to you? We live in electrostatic seas, and you've got the stars, and the stars are creating the electrostatic energy because stars are sonoluminescents. They are part of the charging system, or the Coulomb. And if you look at the word Coulomb, I'll spell it again if you want to write it down, Coulomb. Take off the back end of Coulomb, you've got LOMB, right? Change the O for the A, and you've got Lamb. You got Lamb, the Lamb of Christ. It's just uncanny, you guys, how it just keeps giving, okay? And if you look at Caesar, take off the SAR, leave it there. What do you got? SARS. Oh, what are they using on us right now? Oh, SARS? Corona virus is a SARS non-existent bullshittery, but nonetheless, SARS. And if you flip that around, you've got Ra, or Raz, for Amun-Ra, the Egyptian god of the sun, the universe, the cosmos, the galactic, the everything, the great and powerful Ra. And that is electrostatic energy. So this means that Gaius Julius Caesar actually means Jules Coulomb is the czar, or the stars of the seas, the electrical currencies, which is the currents of the seas of Gaia, the electrostatic E.A.R.T.H, Earth. It means electricity, plain and simple. The stars are the luminaries of light, Lucifer. The jewels, who are the Joules, Joules, are the jewels, Jewels, the Jews, Ju, and the worshiping fools thereof. That would be them and us. So this is a whole shitstorm fakery of this Shakespearean tragedy called hell realm that we live in. We live in a damn Shakespearean tragedy, you guys. We really do. And it's time to get off the stage and stop playing. Pull off the leotards, pull off the velvet cloaks, wipe off the damn lipstick, wash your hair, clean your body, and just say, enough is enough. I've had playing in your damn play. It's ridiculous. So here we go. We've got Jules Coulomb, who is Jesus Christ and Julius Caesar and Gaius. Gaia, Julius Caesar. Then you've also, that comes off of the Jules Coulomb, is the Jesuit Columbus. Oh yeah, there was never any Columbus that settled any new world. How can you settle a new world? This wasn't a new world. This was always here. The West was always here. It used to be part of Pangea. It was always one. You want to play games? Well, Coulomb equals Columbus. And that's just another lie. Next image, please. Okay, to wrap it up, GA out of Gaia, GA equals God, and IA equals AI. Whoops, how did that happen? Gaia, we keep using that name as reverence, is the AI God. So let's get it together here and say, it, Gaia, is not our mother, it's not our father, it's not our home, it's not our heart. Gaia is, in fact, a biosphere, a biomachine, a bioweapon that exists because of everything that I've shared with you, that I have written in articles, that I share on my podcasts. Okay. And it's part of many parts of the system. However, Gaia is the root of the matrix. All of life is electrostatic and electromagnetic, and this is called God. Next image, please. Okay, so G.O.D. God is in electrical terms. Actually, I'm going to tell you, God is even in electrical terms because God is the electrostatic realm, and it's called a gang operating device. Okay, it's called the God switch. Yep, it is the gang operated. That's the GO switch, which is an electrical device that is used for high tension power supply. It's 11 kVs, okay? Or it's 33 kVs. And it switches back and forth. 11, 33, 11, 33. Sacred numbers? They're not sacred numbers. They're just codes. They're just piss-ass Luciferian codes. The GO switch is used for making and breaking high voltage power supply in a substation and industry's premises. This device has 3 switches. There's your 3D. And the motherfucker controls the whole damn shebang. So you can see in this picture here, okay, you can look at the blue part of this image and you look above it. There you've got a GAD. You've got the GO switch. You've got 3 terminals, on and off. Lets the power in, takes power, stops the power from going. Okay, part of the circuit. Looks just alike. One painted in its own imagery of God. Okay, so here you see different components or different views and perceptions of GAD. Okay, all electrical, electrostatic, thermal resistance. Next image, please. And we're almost done, you guys. And one last shits and Googles for the days. Next image, please. Thank you. EL, electrical. EL, elements. EL, Elohim, the electrical eye of the hum. LOL equals LOL. EL, OEL equals LOL. And LOL that we put on our social media or even say out loud now because we're so indoctrinated means Lord of Lucifer or Lucifer, my Lord. And now you know the endless mockery of us, the alleged dumb sheep. Though the problem is that it's not so much that we're dumb, it's that we are mind wiped and we're surviving. We're in survival mode. So it's very hard to realize the truth of this realm. We only pick up what our eyes can see. And for most of us, that's all that matters. I can see it, and therefore it is. But like I said, there's at least 70% of this realm that's in the unseen, and it is controlling everything. It is the same as when I say to you, your conscious is about 20%. Your subconscious is about 70%. Your unconscious is about 10, roughly. Subconscious, unseen. So like within, like without. Above, so below, so above, so below, within, so without, and that's how it works. It's time for us to stop looking so much without and start looking from within. But they're laughing. They're laughing hardcore at us. Okay, now, you guys, if you like what I'm sharing, and I haven't seen anybody ask any questions, I hope you guys are just listening and taking it in, writing it down. But if you like what I've been sharing, just keep coming to the shows here on Rumble and start coming to my Sacred Tribe Rantings of a Blackbird, the pod chats on Telegram. This Sunday, we're going to be having another discussion, but I go deeper. I take things deeper. We have discussions. I do Q&A, that sort of thing. So if you want to go deeper with me, head on over to Telegram, Rantings of a Blackbird as well. All right, next image, please. This Sunday pod chat that's coming up is called Operation Controlled Opposition, Spotting the Deceivers 101. It's going to be fun. That's going to be fun. Jimmy has been helping me gather the images that we need for that show. It's going to be really fun. Because I had my friend Alan come to me in Telegram and he said, "Hey, Raves, take a look at this guy because I don't have a good feeling about it." And he goes, "I think he's definitely a narcissist." And Alan's like super, super intelligent guy. But I have to tell you what, I took one look at that guy. It took me all of 30 seconds, and I had screenshot a bunch of shots, and I shot it back to Alan, and I said, "Here's your guy, total Satan worshiper." So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that. Now, I'm going to ask people for you guys to go ahead and screenshot this meme here, so that you have my information in your phone or your device. So because you'll have the links. But anyways, that's what we're going to be talking about on the podcast. So if you want to talk about the deceivers that are controlling the truthing movement and the world itself, just come on over because we're going to have a good talk about that.